Hi, Deepti. Let's take a look at this set of essays. Pollution, reasons, and solutions. Let's see. It is observed that pollution has significantly increased in the last few years. It has become one of the major rising concerns for the government as it is causing various health issues in public. There are many reasons which increased it tremendously, such as increased manufacturing, fast fashion, poor law and order for waste disposal, and decreasing forests. The assessor will discuss these reasons as well as possible solutions like better regulations, minimalism, and forest preservation, which might prove to be highly beneficial to tackle this issue. Okay, um, this is good. I do have a couple of things that I want to just kind of um, just process and just sort of think aloud to myself, um, and hopefully it will benefit you. So this was fine. I didn't like this. Various health issues in public. When we talk about in public, we mean like outdoors where people can see us, like out in front of other people. So that's not really what you mean here. So as it is causing various health issues for the public, would have been better. Uh, and I didn't like this either. There are many reasons which increased it tremendously. I thought that was awkward, and then you repeated the word increased here. So this is an expression I definitely wanted to change. How about there are many reasons behind this increase, mm, such as greater manufacturing. That would have worked, okay? Uh, let's see. And then let me tell you something else that kind of concerns me. You mentioned several reasons. You mentioned one, two, three, four reasons. And then you talked about one, two, three solutions. So this concerns me because you're going to talk about all of them. If so, it might be too much. Okay. Typically, in an essay like this, I mean, two is really enough. Like as far as reasons and solutions, two of each is really ample. I mean, some people even write one, but they just make sure it's really developed. But if you had written just if you do actually write two of each and just develop them well, then you're fine. So I hope that you don't go into all of these, okay? So let's continue. There is ample evidence that consumption of products has increased sharply over the last few years. Okay, it's now the third time you've used increase, so be careful. As a result, there are a large number of manufacturing factories which release liquid waste directly into the rivers, and harmful gases into the atmosphere here. The increased, fourth time, of production is linked to the increased, oh boy, consumption due to fast fashion. You don't need the there. Fast fashion is a fashion which changes so fast that as soon as people buy products of that fashion, it changes. Okay, guess what word you use too much here? Fast fashion. What do I suggest here? I think you could have said, this is fashion which changes so quickly that people throw the items away as soon as the next trend occurs. So that would have been a better way of both creating cohesion and not repeating the word fashion so many times in such a small span. Okay? So this leads to more consumption because people keep buying new products without using old ones. For instance, recent empirical research by the UK government demonstrated that clothing consumption has increased threefold over the last decade, and that resulted in, here you wanted an A 34% increase in pollution. In addition to that, there is a sharp decline in forests, which is disturbing the balance of the ecosystem. Green gases released into the atmosphere are not balanced by trees and remain near to the Earth's apostrophe S surface. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that humans are making the environment more polluted and harmful for society. Okay, so those are some suggestions on how to improve this paragraph. So essentially, you only talked about two. You talked about forests, deforestation, and you talked about fast fashion. So you didn't mention anything about waste disposal. Did you really? Did you? Let's see. A little bit. Yeah. Okay. let's see. I see. Okay. All right. I mean, yeah, you did kind of cover all of these. Fine. Let's keep going. There has been some serious there have, because you're talking about efforts. So there have been some serious efforts by the governments to cope, not cope up. You don't cope up, you just cope. To cope with pollution, such as stricter rules and guidelines for wastage disposal. It is seen that many businesses do not abide by the guidelines which they should follow for taking care of wastage. As it increases expenses to them and regulatory systems are not strict enough to have them implemented, it has become a challenge. If there had been a strict law to follow those guidelines, with an S here, there would have been less pollution. This is interesting. This really should be, there would be less pollution. So, what you would have done here is this is called a mixed conditional, where you have a you have a theoretical past with a theoretical present. That for me would have been more appropriate, even though it is higher level and more complex, and some people don't feel super comfortable writing like that. But just so that you know, I think that would have been even better. Okay. All right, so moving on. So if there had been a strict law to follow those guidelines, there would be less pollution. Apart from this, people should be educated to buy fewer, not less, products and avoid wasting products because of fast fashion so as to decrease consumption. Less consumption would lead to less demand and consequently less production and pollution. In addition to that, some serious steps should be taken by the government to prohibit cutting down the trees and forests. As forests play a huge role in balancing the environment, it would hugely impact the pollution. Okay, now this is really interesting. Here, where you have less so much in one sentence, you might have noticed that I didn't say anything about it. And part of the reason is because I felt like this was lexical cohesion. So less of this means less of that and less of that. So that works because it's creating cohesion. But when you used fashion so much, it didn't feel like that. It just felt repetitive. So I know it seems kind of weird. You're probably thinking, well, Ellen, how do I know when one is effective and when one is not? That's a good question. I don't have the answer for it. Let's see. Less consumption would lead to less demand, and consequently, you could have even not done. You could have just say reduce production and pollution. That would have been fine too. All right, let's keep going. To conclude from the points and examples, there are many reasons for increased pollution, from lifestyle changes to vanishing forests, but they all can be resolved if some major initiatives are taken. If there had been more forests, okay, and less manufacturing companies to pollute air and water, pollution would not be such a serious concern as it is now. Here you did a mixed conditional. Good. There are many steps which the government is taking, including making laws with severe punishments, which should help to solve this problem in coming years. Okay. Let's see. Uh, okay. So here this is really interesting because here you talked about laws with severe punishments. And so you're kind of answering the how can this be solved? You're answering it here, okay, in your conclusion. I kind of felt like this needed maybe a little more specific information in terms of solutions. What do I mean? I mean stricter rules and guidelines. Okay. Uh, and then you talked about why this is a problem. You didn't really tell me how it will be solved. You spent like, so you talked about this, you said stricter guidelines, and then you spent like two more sentences talking about, yeah, this is a real problem. Yeah, but that's not telling me how what you're suggesting is a solution. You're essentially reiterating that it's a problem. Okay. And then even here, if there were a strict law, it wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, but you're not really helping. You're not telling me like what kind of law. Tell me that for when you exceed a certain amount of pollution, you must pay a fine or you must plant like 50 trees. I don't know, something like that. I just felt like nothing here was particularly specific. Okay. And then they should be educated to buy fewer products. Uh, All right, I guess that's okay. That's fine. All right, so that's what I want to talk about there. You should have been a little more specific. And let's see. I thought it was well written in many ways. The grammar was good, vocabulary was good. I mean, except for those repetitive things that we talked about. So it's a solid essay, but it is one that I also think that you could improve upon. Okay, so let's move on and take a look at your letter here. Dear Mr. Smith, I'm writing to you in response. I'm writing in response. I'm writing. Let me try that one more time because apparently I don't know how to read English. Dear Mr. Smith, I'm writing to you in response to the advertisement for the position of salesperson in Times, New York. Okay. I am Deepti, and I'm looking for a job in the marketing department. I am doing an MBA in marketing from Oxford University. My summer vacation starts from this for 2 months. This enables me to utilize my time in a full time job. I am from London and looking for a job in nearby cities where it is easy to commute. Um, okay. I didn't love this. I am Deepti. Like it doesn't feel particularly formal. Okay. You don't need to do this. We don't, in fact, we don't really typically do this. We don't like introduce ourselves in this manner. Okay. Usually we stick to the other things that you talk about. First of all, if you're going to introduce yourself in a formal letter, you wouldn't just write your first name. Okay. But in a formal letter, rather than saying what your name is, which we can clearly see at the bottom of the letter, um, you would want to say the things about you, like experience you have, where you're going to school, and those sorts of things. So let me look at this one more time. Dear Mr. Smith, I'm writing to you in response to the advertisement for the position of salesperson in Times, New York. Um, how about this? I am an MBA marketing student from Oxford University. Um, and I am looking for a summer job um, let's see, and I am looking for a summer job while I am on holidays from June 1st. Okay, maybe something like that would have worked. Um, okay. As per the job description in the newspaper, I believe I will be a suitable candidate. How about I believe I am, not I will be. I am a suitable candidate for this job. As I'm studying marketing, it will provide me opportunities to hone my skills and implement my theoretical knowledge in the real world. I have some previous experience, no S here, in sales and have worked as a manager in a restaurant and salesman in a clothing store. I believe this job as a salesperson in a luxury brand Armani will require similar expertise, which I have from my previous work experiences. Let me see. I believe that this job, okay, as a salesperson will require similar expertise, which I have from my previous work experience. Fine. I firmly believe that working in a luxury brand would be more beneficial for me to explore different markets. I'm very interested, I'm very interested in working as a salesperson and looking forward to an interview for this position. Please find me include his resume and let me know if you have any questions. Fine, fine, fine. Okay, yeah, little things, details, but on the whole, I thought you did fine. Let me know if you have any questions about this. Keep working, keep at it. Okay, Deepti? All right, so thanks for sending this in, and I'll be looking for the rest of your essays. Good luck.